We're here with the defending champion, Vinny Pagnotta. Vinny, how you doing?
Doing well. No complaints over here.
Awesome. You're defending your title at Jackhammer Promotions 100. It's Bobby Campbell's 100th event of all time. You know, he's been going probably the longest on Long Island for a while. What does it mean to you to be a champion for Jackhammer Promotions and to defend this title at the 100th event?
I'm just honored to be a part of the 100th event and, more than blessed to have the opportunity to be the champion for Jackhammer and such a great promoter like Bobby. I love fighting for Bobby. It's always like I said, always an honor to get in his ring and put on a show for the fans out in Long Island.
Awesome. And, tell us a little bit about how you got into MMA and mixed martial arts and what the journey was that led you here.
I've been a lifelong martial artist. I started doing karate at 3 years old. Did that all the way up until I was 22, 21 years old. Was on the wrestling team in high school. It's just always been a big part of my life, martial arts. And after I got out of high school, when I was finished up with wrestling, I didn't just want to, stop my combat sports career. So then I really dove full time into the MMA training and the kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, everything that comes along with it. As soon as I was still in high school and I was still wrestling, but everything really became full time once I stopped. Once I got out of high school, once I graduated.
Awesome. And I see your post. Like I said, you're fighting Matt DeLucia, who's coming out of, I believe, Longo's MMA gym. You talk about how hard you've been working for this fight and preparing for it. Tell us a little bit about that work that you've put in the gym leading up to this fight.
Well, just for starters, I've technically really been in fight camp since like September.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've had a couple opponents pull out my last two fights. I was supposed to be on a card for Bobby once in November, and I believe once again in January was the last card I was supposed to fight on. And, both times, unfortunately, day of the event, night before the event, my opponents backed out. But, none of that was for nothing. I was able to still go off of my game plan, still be able to use all that time that I've spent training to turn everything full steam ahead for this fight coming up. And, once I was rewarded with that championship at the end of the last event that happened, it's really just fueled the motivation even more.
That's awesome. You're fighting Matt DeLucia, like we just said, defending your title. Does it put any more pressure on you to be defending the title than it was fighting for the title?
So I know it might sound weird, but the way that I've been looking at it, because, I believe it either might have been you yourself or one of your commentary co hosts at the last event. I was more than happy to be crowned the champion, but not in the fashion that I wanted to be crowned the champion. Just, having my opponent not show up and just being rewarded the champ. But, it doesn't put any extra pressure on me. If anything, it just motivates me even more. I had a chip on my shoulder after, just being given the belt. And I don't even like to say it like that because, I've worked so hard my entire, amateur career so far. So I just look at it as, extra fuel, time to really prove to everyone that I wasn't just given that belt. I deserve it, and I'm going to prove it on April 24th.
Absolutely. Now you're fighting at bantamweight for the MMA title, defending it. Is this a weight class that's easy for you to get down to? How's the weight cut for you? Is there any?
I like to think I've gotten it down to a science. The weight cut, at first, because I'm originally a a bigger boy. I used to, when I wrestled in high school, my first year, I was 220 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to taper it all the way off. But
That's awesome. Good for you.
thank you. But getting down to 135, when I first decided I was going to start fighting at 35, it was slightly intimidating just making that 20-pound cut. But it comes off a lot easier than I anticipated. And now I don't even really get too worked up about the weight cuts. I know what I have to do, and I know my body. I know the way I sweat when I work out. I know what I have to eat to make it. Never too concerned with the weight cuts. It's never too hard for me. I always feel good after the fact when I'm able to rehydrate. Nothing ever seems to be, lingering after the case.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you've had a couple of fights before. You had fought Gage Luby, Dave Messier. So you have a few fights under your belt. What kind of experience do you believe that brings you for this title defense, as well as how it's shaped and made you evolve as a fighter?
I believe all my fights leading up to this point have really just been gauges to really make adjustments where they're needed, like everybody tries to go off of. I really like to think I'm a well-rounded fighter. I could, you know, wherever the fight has to go, I'm confident that I could establish what I need to establish to bring it towards my favor. But each of my opponents, everybody, nothing but the most respect for them. And each fight, I've learned a little bit more about myself and things that I need to do to, just bring it to that next level.
Awesome. What are some of your goals, short term, long term goals for combat sports?
So short term goal, bring back home that belt on April 24th. Um, you know, long term, I would like to, eventually get my hand in pro MMA,
Okay.
have a chance to in the pro brackets, and right now it's a fun thing for me. I just really enjoy the competition. I like to push myself. I like to get in there and scrap. I like to see where my abilities are at, and if one day that does happen to lead me to being on the pro stage, then I'll be more than happy to take that opportunity and run with it.
What do you do for a living? And what do you like? Yeah, what do you do for a
Um,
living?
so I I have a couple different gigs that I tend to. I actually one is today. I have my own power washing business
Okay.
and one of my best friends. So this year is the first year. Everything working out so far. So hopefully, one day we could turn that into a little bit more than the pressure washing. We could get into, whatever comes with that. Sky's the limit. On top of that, I went to college for exercise and sports science. So I have my bachelor's in exercise and sports science. With that, right now I'm working in a physical therapy office as well, just as a PT assistant at the moment. And then on that, I also do coaching. For martial arts. I coach kids Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes, kids striking classes. I also work with a group of special needs students once a week at a after school center and just get them moving around for an hour,
That's awesome.
help them burn off some energy, learn some self-defense.
Very nice. That's pretty cool. Um, and you're training at Piero MMA. Is there any is that your main gym right now?
Yeah, so Piero MMA and Dento Tequina we're crossed with each other here
Okay.
on but yeah, Johnny Piero is my main coach. I go to a couple different places to get work in as camps go on. I'll get my work in at Team Real USA here on Staten Island. I'll train with Johnny, with Piero MMA, and Dento Tequina. They're my main group of guys. And when things are really going full steam ahead into camp, I go out to Jersey City and train with the Coulter Fight Club. The head coach over there is Richie Van Houten.
Okay.
And just a really
sorry.
Guys. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. My apologies.
But yeah, those guys out there, they really push me, and I like to be out there with them. It's just higher pace, higher intensity, everything that I believe I need to get that edge on my opponents.
Awesome. Who are some of your training partners?
Well, one of my training partners was on your show earlier this week, Kevin Young.
Okay.
Another one of my training partners is also fighting on the April 21st card, Amr Ghazi. He's a young fighter. He just had his first fight. I believe he had his first fight on the...
Was it in January? Or the November card?
I'm sorry. He fought for Flex Fight Series.
Okay.
Fight, I believe. But, or no, I'm sorry. It wasn't Flex. It was you guys. I think it was the November card. I'm sorry.
Cool.
But he had his first fight then, getting ready for his second kickboxing fight. He's a really great young fighter that we have at the gym that I believe the sky's the limit for him as well.
What is it about you guys on Staten Island that makes you guys unique and different and tough? And you guys bring that edge every time you're in the cage. What is it that you guys bring and just acquire to bring the edge?
I think it's just I don't know, maybe it's something in the water or the air out here, but seems to be everybody's a little amped up out here. But no, we're just I think we're just always looking to prove ourselves being fighters out of Staten Island, because there aren't too many places to go and train. So that's why there's with our group of guys at Dento Tekina and Piero MMA, it's real serious group of fighters on the island, and we just we like to prove ourselves, just how Long Island has proved themselves as a great way for fighters to go and train, and there's such high level talent out there and people to go train with. We're just hoping that we could be that next generation, that new generation to, light that fire here on Staten Island and make people say, oh, instead of maybe leaving Staten Island to go train places, have people come from other places to come train on Staten Island one day.
Absolutely. Now, leading up to the fight, you're cutting, but once you make that cut and then you fight, you defend this title. What's something you're going to eat right after? Do you have like a go-to food or something you enjoy to munch down once you're done?
Right. So right after the fight, me and whoever comes and supports, we usually shoot right across the street from Mulcahy's and go straight to the diner that's like across the way.
Oh, all right.
It didn't mean to work out this way, but it's become a tradition. We just go right across there and everybody has their meal. But I specifically, whether it's there or anywhere else, I just really like a burger after the fact.
What kind of cheese are we getting on this bad boy?
Mozzarella if it's an option, but
Okay.
not pepper jack or cheddar. Anything really suffices after the fight.
Nice,
But
nice.
something I always look forward to after the fight, especially being right there in Mulcahy's, an Irish pub, is I usually go right up and celebrate with a nice cold Guinness.
There you go. You can never go wrong with Guinness.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Tell us something about you that nobody knows, but you'd like to share with everyone.
Let's see, something about me that not too many people know.
Could be anything. It doesn't have to be mixed martial arts related.
Something that not too many people know about myself, which is kind of odd, being on the podcast right now with you and talking about my fights coming up. But believe it or not a lot of people know that I fight, that I do this. Everybody, when they talk to me and they ask me, like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And whenever I tell them, like, I'm a fighter, I compete in MMA, they're always like, what, really? No, there's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm not the most physically imposing, but no, it's just something I like to do in my spare time.
That's funny. Yeah, so you're probably like a pretty mellow guy for the most part, huh?
Yeah, I like to think so. I mean, I guess depending on who you talk to, they might give you a different answer, but I like to think I'm pretty well reserved. I kind of come off a little monotone. Stuff. A lot of people tell me I don't show like too much emotion, but yeah, no. So when people find out that I fight, I always get that same reaction of like, "Oh, what? No way, you." Which
Uh,
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll keep it as a good thing.
yeah, right. Yeah, it could be a little, surprising for some people. For your fight against Matthew DeLucia, what do you expect from him? What do you perceive him to be the most challenges he's going to give you?
Well, I like to think, you know, I heard he's pretty good boxer. He, I heard he even was possibly a Golden Gloves finalist a few times. But so I think he's really going to try to push it with the striking, especially with the hands. So I'm prepared for that. But at the same time, I never underestimate anybody's ability in that cage. Especially he comes from a great gym, comes with a great group of guys. I'm sure he has amazing training partners that are pushing him in all other aspects. So I'm ready for anything, any aspect of the game that he's trying to bring towards me.
Awesome. Vinny, do you have any sponsors or anyone you want to recognize helping you prepare for this fight?
One of my sponsors, my main sponsor, will always be the Teep Territory family. Teep Territory, I mean, they're all over the place. They really kind of blew up, especially in the amateur brackets. They're the owners, Brian and Esty, are always at the events, whether it's with you guys at Jackhammer or it's over at sometimes at ECF or sometimes at the Flex fights. They're great people, and they always make sure I have everything that I need when fight when fight camp is on their way. And what fight shorts do you want? Do you want a jersey to walk out with? Do you want a special T-shirt to sell? They're they're a great group of people, and they always make sure that their fighters have exactly what they need.
That's awesome. It's always good to have a sponsor like that, right?
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can get tickets by contacting Vinny or calling 631-532-7887. You can call or text to get tickets. And then if you can attend, you can always watch the pay-per-view on jackhammerfights.com. Prediction for this fight, Vinny?
Prediction for this fight: I will be leaving that night still your bantamweight 135-pound MMA champion. Um, as far as you know, picking a round or anything like that, or time or how it's going to happen, I don't like to do any of that. I'm not that person that's going to sit there and be, oh, I'm going to finish him with this, or I'm going to take him down, choke him out in this round. I always have utmost respect for my opponents, but I always know at the end of the day that I know what I'm capable of, and no matter what they throw at me, I can handle it.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Thursday, April 24th, Jackhammer Promotions 100. Vinny Pagnotta's defending his title for the Bantamweight MMA Championship against Matt DeLucia. Make sure you're there. If you can't, hop on jackhammerfights.com. And Vinny, best of luck, and I'll be there watching and commentating. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out CCMMA podcast.com to check out some of the latest interviews that I've been doing and putting up. And then we will see you on April 24th. Be there or you're going to miss out, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carroll's MMA podcast. We're signing off, and thank you very much, Vinny. I appreciate taking the time.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome, man. I appreciate the time and hopping on.
No, thank you. Of course, I was